And speaking of college and homecoming and football and all the rest, Jim Peck is with us, the executive producer for the Big Ten Network. Thanks for being here.
Nice to be here.
You produce documentaries for the Big Ten Network.
Documentaries, TV shows, just about, we don't do wedding videos, but just about anything people ask these days.
Isn't it funny how if you put football to music and you put some quotations in there, grown men will cry.
It's true. I myself, just when you mentioned that, started to well up a little bit.
Yes, I understand. It's gripping. Why do 113,000 people squeeze into Michigan Stadium and sit on a seat that's no bigger than a number, in whether it's rain or shine, and the traffic in and out is terrible, and there's really no infrastructure? Why do they do that?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it, I'm actually relatively new to this area, but the pride that I see in the team and the school is just amazing. I think they fill the stands for that. I think they fill the stands to have a common place to come together and celebrate Michigan State, hopefully celebrate a win. I was just in Ann Arbor yesterday, and some sorry-looking folks down there.
Where did you come from?
Most recently from Idaho, but via California, Chicago, Milwaukee, D.C., New York, all over the place.
Okay, so you had at least an idea of what the Big Ten was all about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Was your impression what I imagine when you go to the Southeastern Conference or maybe the Pac-10 that they play that big old dinosaur football up there in the Big Ten? They're stuck in the past.
Yeah, I think there's that notion. You know, I grew up but watching Bo Schembechler and other guys like that. So I mean, that was definitely part of growing up for me. And I think having been to the Rose Bowl a number of times and watching the West Coast teams out there, those Big Ten teams would come in and they still kind of looked scary. I mean, these guys were big. They maybe didn't move quite as fast, didn't toss the ball around the same way, but always an impressive team.
That Rose Bowl setting is unbelievable, isn't it?
Absolutely.
New Year's Day with the sun going down and the mountains and all that. It was the ultimate prize in the wintertime when you were here in the Big Ten to be able to make that game. Do you think the bloom has gone off the rose because we've sort of if Ohio State goes undefeated, they don't get to go to the Rose Bowl. They go somewhere else, and it's a little bit confusing. Sometimes they take the Rose Bowl away from us, right, because they have the national championship game there or they have two games there. Do you think it's not like it used to be?
You know, I think there's still an aura that surrounds the Rose Bowl when you say that. I think the reason we talk about it is because it's there. I think it still is an important game. I think it is an iconic setting, an iconic game. And I think that some people, in many people's minds, the Rose Bowl still is the game. I think the hardcore sports
the granddaddy.
Fans, it is, and I try not to say that because I
cliches.
Well, you know, you hear it so much, but, and now I'm starting to, as I get older, it starts to worry me a little bit.
I always thought it was fun at the end of the year. The teams that were in contention, whether it was Michigan or would show up at the game with roses, and you'd see the band, and they'd have roses in their teeth, and it meant like the ultimate prize.
Yeah. I still think there's a sense of that, and I think that. When teams get there, especially, I mean, the Rose Bowl is one of the few games left that doesn't have a sponsorship in front of the bowl game. It still pretty much stands on its own, and I think, like I said, I think it's iconic, and I think there's a lot of pride that goes into that, and being able to play there and the history in that field.
Well, I sure hope we get to go there this winter because it's setting up awfully nicely for the Spartans. Their schedule looks good. Are there any coaches which coaches give you the most trouble in the Big Ten? They're difficult to deal with.
Well, you know, I actually have not dealt with that many coaches. The majority of the stuff that we do is the non-athletic programming that's focusing on the things that are going on in the university, around the world. I have to say that the coaches I have dealt with have been terrific. We just worked with Coach D'Antonio a little bit ago.
Did you?
Working on the Spartans Sagas project that we've been part of for Michigan State. We did the Izzo Goes to Broadway program with Coach Izzo. The people I've worked with have been terrific. Little work with Tom Crean back when he was at Marquette, which is where I went to school in Milwaukee.
No.
And now he's in the Big Ten, and a Michigan State guy also. So I mean, I can't. I almost wish I had something bad to say about these guys. It could be a lot more interesting to talk about. But.
Well, it's going to be Midnight Madness tonight at the Breslin Center at Michigan State, and that's always a heck of a show. In fact, last year they shut the doors at 11 o'clock because it was already full.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's going to be huge.
And Tom Izzo will do something fun, and he did that. Those two Izzo on Broadway shows he did. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
It was amazing, and I was backstage almost the whole week before the one that happened at the Wharton Center. And this was a guy who I think really brought his A game to singing and dancing and doing all this. And as we did a documentary about that, and he talked about the fact that he showed up and just thinking, well, he'd take a couple of steps and just kind of move around a little bit, and realized how difficult this was. And I think got in there with some real Broadway performers and felt that he had to really step it up, no pun intended. And it was fun to watch, and it was fun to see somebody who is so accomplished and so comfortable in a basketball setting be a little bit out of his zone and try to do something different, but still work really hard at it. And I think he was kind of an inspiration to his players, a lot of whom were there watching him do this.
I thought they pulled it off.
Absolutely, yeah, no question. It was fun to watch and really cool.
Is Nebraska going to fit into the Big Ten scheme of things?
Oh, I think so. And we do a lot of talking about not only how Nebraska fits in on the sports side, but also what they bring academically to the rest of the conference. And I think that it's a great big school. I think people out west think they're in the Big Ten anyway. They get confused out there, especially in Los Angeles. And I think it's going to be a very good thing. And I think the selection was carefully done, and I think they took a very measured approach to this. And I think it'll be a good addition. Is
Northwestern the nicest campus?
Boy, that's hard to say, and I try never to say those things publicly. It's very nice. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Chicago, and it's a great place to go, and has a whole different feel. I mean, it's very much a campus to itself, but you've got the whole city of Chicago right there, and a lot of opportunities. It's a terrific place. But I think you find that really any place in the Big Ten. I mean, I'm amazed when I got out here at these campuses that you look on the map and it looks like they're sort of in the middle of nowhere. There's still a lot of there, and the universities really bring it. I mean, there's a lot going on all of our campuses.
Especially here at Michigan State.
Definitely.
Do you wish Notre Dame would join the Big Ten?
No.
No?
I personally have a hard time with Notre Dame. Growing up where I did, again, going to Marquette, it's such a rivalry. A lot of family that was from Chicago, and here nonstop Notre Dame rooting and that kind of stuff. And so I don't need more.
Leave them frozen out.
Exactly. It's okay.
I'll buy that. We'll be watching the Big Ten Network now with a new perspective that we met you, Jim Peck, and we sure appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Welcome to Michigan State University in the state of Michigan. You were in Ann Arbor yesterday, so you're hot-footing it. What game will you watch tomorrow?
Well, definitely the Michigan State game. I mean, I think homecoming is going to be big, and I think especially how Illinois has been playing, it's a little more interesting than it looked when they set the schedule.
We'll see you there,
obviously a big game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Big Ten Network. It's 18 after the hour.